In this video, I'm going to give you the top tips to make sure that you are training efficiently for your very first marathon, that you do not make the same mistakes that I made, because I made plenty of them. Why in the world did nobody tell me about these guys? So this year I decided to train for my very first marathon. I knew that this was a goal that I had in mind. I wasn't too sure about how to accomplish it. I definitely made a lot of mistakes along the way. And I'm going to share with you some of those mistakes, some of the tips that I've learned, and a lot of the tricks that's going to help you overcome some of these obstacles that I had to face head on. First things first, actually sign up for a race. Don't tell yourself that you're going to train. Actually have an end date, so therefore you can start your plan at a specific time and you know when it's going to end. You already paid for this race, so therefore you're already in it, right? Now, before you sign up for any old race, make sure that you actually look at the race, look at the maps. So, for example, is there going to be a lot of elevation? This one marathon that I looked at, there was a giant hill right in the middle at about a 4,000 elevation. And I thought, there is no way that I am doing this. I didn't want to kill myself. So I did a relatively flat course for my very first marathon. I wanted something that was a little bit easier. I made sure to do it in the beginning of June. I probably should have did it sometime in May. However, it's going to be perfect weather. This week it's about 90 degrees, but next week when I actually run my marathon, it's going to be closer to 75, 80 degrees, which isn't that bad. So you definitely want to look at the map, and then you also want to look at the time that the marathon is, time of year. So are you going to be doing it in fall, in the spring, in the winter? I highly recommend that you don't do it in the summer. However, there are some crazy people out there, and if that's you, go for it. My tip number 2 is to just start off slow. I mean, you have 12 to potentially 24 weeks to train for this thing, so you don't need to run 50 miles your first week. Start running at maybe 10 miles the very first week, and every week after that, increase it by little increments. So I strongly suggest doing 10% every single week. So for example, I run 10 miles the first week. Next week, I want to run 11 miles. If you overtrain, you go too hard, you skip that 10%, this will most likely lead to injury. So I did this one of the weeks. I jumped from 15 miles straight to 25 miles, and let me tell you, my body felt it. I was hurting. My knees were kind of hurting, and my ankles for sure. So tip 2 was do not overtrain, and this leads us into tip 3, which is learn when to quit. So what do I mean by this? Your body knows when it's time to rest. So for example, if you need to take a day off running, take a day off of running. I mean, you want to rest and prevent injury rather than pushing through an injury and making it worse. This is the same when you're out running. So one of the days my calf was killing me, and I decided to walk a little bit. It's okay to walk a little bit during your training. You don't need to run or continue jogging the whole time. If you need to walk, go ahead and walk. I mean, that's no big deal. So anyway, I decided that I was just gonna walk for about 3 miles and then continue running. And I mean, this was perfectly fine. I felt a whole lot better after I walked those 3 miles. I couldn't even imagine if I continued to run with my hurt calf. My calf is still a little hurt because this only happened about 2 weeks ago. It's not too bad. Definitely letting it rest for the marathon because I want to just go in crushing that thing. So far my 3 tips are find a race, find a plan, make sure that you're actually training and you don't overtrain, and then make sure you rest and you know when to rest. And this brings us to step 3, or tip 3, and this is getting the right gear. So I'm going to show you some of the gear that I personally have that has helped me tremendously. Why in the world did nobody tell me about these guys? So these are toe socks here. They were $18 because they were the Ultra Runner, and they are amazing. If you were one for getting blisters or maybe getting any kind of chafing on your feet, I promise you, if you invest in a good pair of socks, you won't be disappointed. One thing I was weird about was the toe socks. I was not a fan of those at first, but I got used to it. I love them now. But seriously, these were one of the best investments. So the company that I went with was Injinji. Now, I highly recommend you check these guys out. They have tons of other great gear as well. And secondly, we got shoes. So you want to get a nice pair of shoes. These here were about $150. These are the Nike Zoom Flies, I believe that's what they're called. Anyway, they got some cushioning in here, they got more cushioning up the sides, tons of cushioning. They're super lightweight and they're nice and thick as well. Now you can see I beat them up a little bit. I run on trails as well as gravel, and these are the shoes that I'm going to be running my marathon in. That's just another small quick tip, guys, is make sure you actually train in the shoes that you're going to be running in. Short shorts, that's right. I was kind of weird about wearing the short shorts, but I mean, I needed them because I had shorts that were a little longer that I was running in, and my legs just chafed up. They held all the oil. I was starting to break out a little bit, get ingrown hairs. Not good at all. There's a reason that runners wear short shorts, and it's to prevent all that stuff. So I was never personally a hat guy, but this guy is a good investment. So the hat holds all of my sweat. I do not look the greatest in it. That's alright. I also have headbands. Headbands work great. Another great thing that I got is this Nathan water bottle. So you can see it here. It is insulated so it keeps my water cool. Got a little pouch here so I can have my phone, or look what I got here. I highly suggest you get some of these guys here. So these are little chewables by Cliff, so you can see all the nutrition facts there. I don't know if you can really see them or not, but anyway, they have about 100 calories. They have 50 milligrams of sodium, and then they have a boatload of carbs in them as well. So I am going to take 2 packs. I'm going to take them in on mile 10 and then another one on mile 18. So something else that I strongly suggest that you guys get is some kind of spray. Get something that you can spray down under, protect everything down there, prevent chafing, any wetness that's going to get down there. You want to make sure that you're not going to have any of that. Another thing that I strongly suggest that you get is a bottle of Vaseline. So you're probably thinking right now, okay Austin, why the heck do I need a bottle of Vaseline if I'm running? Well, that's because I like to put this down on under as well as on my nipples if I'm running with a shirt on and I'm doing long distance, because your nipples will start to chafe, and if you've ever had chafed nipples, that hurts. So then we're going to jump into tip 5, and this is make your own aid stations. I want you to drive down the path that you're going to be running, and I want you to make a aid station. So if I was running 18 miles, I would stop and make several stations where I would drop off some water, maybe some Gatorade. I typically ran where nobody else was so I could use the bathroom anywhere, which was pretty nice. But I dropped off the Gatorade and I made my own aid stations. That way it was kind of like it would be during the race, because during the race they're going to have aid stations that you can stop at, get a drink, go pee, whatever you need to do. Tip number 6 is to train in any weather condition. So if it's cold out, you get your butt out there and run. If it's really hot out, you get your butt out there and run. Just make sure you take care of yourself. It's raining out, get out there and run. Why this? Why do this? That's because you don't know what the heck is going to happen on race day. Are you going to say, I ain't running it because of a little bit of rain? No, you paid for this. You told yourself you're going to do it. You did all the training. You better get your butt out there and start running in the rain. And then this brings us to our next tip, which is recovery. So I strongly suggest you get one of these guys. So this here is a foam roller. It is great for your legs. And then I also strongly suggest that you get a muscle percussion gun. So this will help your muscles tremendously. I have also gotten a massage. Now, not everyone needs to go out and get a massage, but that helps so much. Really focus on your recovery. And then also, I strongly suggest that you stretch. Some people will tell you otherwise. However, once I stopped stretching is when I got injured and when I got hurt. So therefore, I stretch. And then you already know that I'm going to harass you a little bit about dieting. So you don't need to change your whole diet. You want to eat the cookie, whatever. One thing that I strongly suggest you do though is that you carb load before you go out and run your 18-mile runs. before you have these really long runs, you want to make sure that you actually eat something in the morning. You eat a bunch of calories a couple days beforehand to make sure that your body's prepared and it has enough glycogen and all that stuff stored up, so it has stuff to grab onto. That way you're not going out on an empty tank. And then the last thing to remember is that this is most likely your very first marathon if you're watching this video, and I want you to go out there and just finish it, because guess what? No matter what time you get, this is going to be a personal record for you. It's going to be a PR, and just completing a marathon is a huge accomplishment. Less than 1% of people have actually completed a whole marathon, and to me that's just something to be proud of. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any extra tips that you want to go ahead and recommend to myself or anybody that's potentially watching this, leave in the comments. And also, if you haven't already, like and subscribe. It really helps me out a lot.